Okay, so another one. So we've talked about the stupid goals framework, which was really cool, and then we've talked about customer retention tactics. So another part is, I think, let's just start with the very, very interesting one. So why you need luck to succeed? Okay, so because I think so many entrepreneurs are like, push with the whole theory of you have to work so hard, you have to stay awake all night, you have to put in a whole lot of work just to succeed. But some other senior entrepreneurs always say there is something called an element of luck. So why do we really need luck to succeed?
So I think luck is a bit deceptive, right? The way that I kind of like to think about this particular topic is luck. There are certain elements of luck that are completely chance. Where you're born, who you're born to, the ways that you're brought up that you have absolutely no control over, right? Like those are true, and those do have an influence on where you begin. So our starting lines are obviously different in that regard. That said, what I would say here is, once you have started, you have the opportunity to get more lucky than other people would. And let me just tell a quick story. Before entrepreneurship, I played professional online poker. And one of the things that I learned through that experience was the more hands you play, the more even your probable outcomes become. So let's say, for example, if I'm playing poker, if I'm playing Texas Hold'em, which some people might be familiar with, and I have the strongest starting hand possible. I have pocket aces, and I push all my money into the middle and bet it all before any cards come out. And someone else, brings in pocket twos, something really I've completely dominated that hand, right? In that moment, I'm still only a 4-1 favorite. 20% of the time, that person is still going to beat me. I've made the absolute best decision I can with the information I have. And 1 out of 5 times, that person is still going to win. And that's luck, right? And that's just because it has one situation where that the probability of the outcomes, it's much higher for me, much lower for them. So that person got lucky, right? And I got really unlucky. Now, if I were to play that hand over the course of, let's say that happens 3 or 4 times in a row in the same session, I'm going to start to tell myself this story, man, I'm really unlucky. I should stop playing. Now, if I were to play out that same situation 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 times, which you can do as an online pro, like I was playing 24 tables at a time over 2 widescreen monitors. I was playing thousands of hands a day. I wasn't even able to see the outcome of hands when I would finish, because there was something else happening so often. So the way to think about that is the more hands you play, the more evenly distributed luck becomes, right? Now, one thing to keep in mind here is there's a really good book from this doctor named Dr. James Austin. It was back in the 70s or 80s. And he wrote a book called Chase, Chance, and Creativity, The Lucky Art of Novelty. And he basically came up with the fact through his research that there are 4 different kinds of luck. Blind luck, which is what most people are familiar with, right? Blind luck is, being born to a wealthy family. Blind luck is winning the lottery, something that's very, very improbable, may only happen, once in 10,000 lifetimes, something along those lines, right? And, you can't really get blind luck on your side. You can make it more likely that blind luck occurs if you put yourself in positions throughout your life to get lucky. But that doesn't mean it occurs at a higher rate. You just have more opportunities for it to occur. So the more often you play hands like you would in poker, or in the case of an entrepreneur, the more opportunities you cultivate, the more often you have the ability to experience blind luck. Now, his next type of luck that he talks about is luck from motion, right? And this is from consistent action persisted over time. The more often you're doing things, the more things that you create, the more exposure you get, the more webinars you do, David, the more people you engage with throughout those webinars, the more chances you have of having the right person click with exactly what you're doing and spread it to the perfect person, and suddenly you have captured lightning in a bottle, right? But that's something that occurs because of how often you are creating and putting things in the world and putting yourself in the opportunities to succeed. So the two parallels that you probably see between those kinds of luck right now are just, putting yourself in those positions to succeed puts you in a position to get lucky more often. Now, the next one that he talked about was called luck in preparation. And this one really comes from, it's like a more niche kind of luck. It comes from, you have to have years of experience and super deep knowledge in a specific field, knowing what works, knowing what doesn't a lot better than someone else does. And what this does is it influences luck in your way because you actually can influence the probability of a specific outcome. You're actually more prime. Let's say, for example, we're back at the poker table. You're brand new. I've been playing for 30 years. I've read every book in the world and played against the best players in the world, right? I am, by and large, going to make better decisions than you are in that session. Now, you may experience blind luck, right? If you're playing really aggressively, you may even have some luck in motion because you're playing a lot of hands. But there's also that luck in preparation, knowing what to do on the fly, even if ultimately what it comes down to is probability. If I'm putting all of my money in when I'm a heavy favorite and very little of my money in when I'm not favored, and a little more, but not all of my money in when we're basically flipping a coin, even if I'm like a 51% favorite, right? Over the course of time, more money, the more hands we play, more money will end up on my side of the table. And that's the case too in business, right? If you are a deeper subject matter expert, you are much more likely to experience a technological breakthrough and an invention you're creating, or something along those lines, something that really resonates with the market, than you would if you were brand new and you didn't have the same level of preparation. And then lastly, there's this other kind of ethereal quality of luck, this luck that's unique to you, right? And if you build a reputation because of your expertise, because of how much you're moving, so the luck in motion and the luck in preparation, and you're doing those things and you're starting to build a little bit more of a reputation, that becomes more of a magnet over the course of time. And as you start to pull in more people into your ecosystem, you get closer and closer, like you become kind of a magnet for those opportunities. And it's kind of a weird phenomenon. It's one of the more difficult types of luck to really cultivate, and it takes a lot of hard work over the course of time. But you may have found that the more entrenched you get in a specific area, the more often people think about you when they think about opportunities, even opportunities that you have nothing to do with. They just think about you, they come to you, and they present them to you. And that can be seen as a kind of luck, right? That unique luck. All of those things, each of those types of luck, are influenced in your favor the more often you try. Plain and simple, right? The more often you try, the more attempts you make. If you're in poker, the more hands you play, the more often you're going to get lucky from an absolute perspective. Now, the probability might be the same, but you're going to experience those events more often. And that's when, the people around you say, wow, you get lucky all the time. Well, I'm just out there trying and failing more often than most people will. So I'm going to have the opportunity to get lucky a lot more often. So that's kind of my take on it. Luck is an important factor in success, but it's highly influenceable. And, if you're focused on a specific area, so you're able to have like the luck from preparation, and you're actually, making attempts willingly. And that's why a lot of people in Silicon Valley talk about, I think it was Reid Hoffman that said, if you're not embarrassed by your first product release, you're launching too late. The more often you're shipping new features or new potential business ideas for customers and seeing how they resonate, that's luck from motion. Like if you don't ever try, or if you only try once, you're a lot less likely to get lucky than someone who's trying a dozen times a month. And, for that reason, going out and moving, going out and educating yourself, and going out and building a reputation for somebody who's, reliably adding value to others is going to just ensure that not only you put yourself in a position to get lucky, but luck starts to come to you without you even trying, because people think about you for certain opportunities. Does that make sense?
It makes a whole lot of sense. It does. It makes a whole lot of sense.